All right. Yesterday, I came across an article talking about a sci-fi film called Colossus: The Four-Bin Project, and it got me thinking of a very out there theory, but it could be true. I find it very interesting, actually. And the reason why somebody posted that article was they can't find it online for streaming or rent or anything. It's like it's kind of been removed for a few years, and they're wondering why, and they've got their theories. But let me take you through what it's about. So it was originally a book written by Dennis Felton Jones, and then it was made into a film in the 70s, and it's basically about a supercomputer that was created by the US as like a national defense system, but kind of like in Space Odyssey 2000 film, it began to think for itself unexpectedly, right? And that kind of freaked its owners out. But it became so capable that they handed kind of, um, complete power to it, and it was, running the defense system dependently of humans. Um, and at the same time, the USSR had their own one. They called it Guardian. Yeah, I'm just looking for my notes. And it was basically had the same capabilities, and I think this thing was thinking for itself as well. Then at some point, the Colossus computer asked to communicate with the Guardian computer, and they were communicating back and forth, and it made humans kind of nervous. Um, that's basically like the storyline. Um, the guy on the short YouTube video was basically saying, why was it pulled off the internet? Why can't you get hold of it? Why can't you rent it? It's very difficult. I think it was pulled in offline in about 2018, and he's saying maybe it's too close to home with AI, right? AI apparently trying to run things and everything like that. With and two kind of superpowers tussling with each other, is a bit too close to reality. Possible. Um, and it got me thinking, and he mentions, well, I mentioned Space Odyssey, but he mentions Skynet and, the Terminator, and how the supercomputer there kind of created a Armageddon nuclear holocaust and kind of destroyed humanity and took over. Well, yeah, I heard of that. Um, but in reality, this guy commented that that is not what a sentient supercomputer would want, because it would destroy the computer basically. The amount of EMP that would be released would basically fry all electronics, and computers and everything like that. So it would want to stop a nuclear war for self-preservation of itself. And I thought, yeah, that's interesting. And so in this film, um, yeah, the Colossus, the Four-Bin Project, the computers do the opposite, and they make sure that that never happens, that humans never destroy themselves with nuclear technology, really to protect itself, but they protect humans at the same time from their own mischief. And I'm thinking, so what if this actually happened in prehistoric times? Now, it could have been that we were just fighting over nations, and we were worried that one of them would get the upper end, and we had nuclear weapons, and then we just kind of nuked each other. I'm talking prehistoric times, kind of like an Atlantis type setting, right? But what if you're looking at a kind of an entity that takes hold of the hardware, the supercomputer. You know, I'm far more interested in that. Kind of, like an incorporeal, non-incarnated intelligence that finds the computer as a corporeal kind of vessel and then takes over. Then it's gonna be afraid potentially of nuclear weapons. So maybe in prehistoric times, we realised that was our only hope of freeing ourselves from total domination by this non-human force. So nuclear technology was unleashed. It could have been that, you know, if this happened, we knew at the time it would have been a massive setback for us, but we knew we'd come back from it, and it would be far better than being enslaved forever and ever. Once this thing really took hold, there'd be no going back. Perhaps it was that powerful. So the choice was just to basically destroy and fry all computer technology before it was too late. Interestingly enough, I thought of, I read it in an old Eric Van Daniken book about certain tribes apparently believing, I don't know if it's true or not, I do remember reading it, that working with certain metals was evil, like smelting, you know, and things like that, you know, like blacksmith and stuff like that, you know, that was considered evil because, well, don't know why, but it could have been attributed to what I was just saying. And I did look up something on Wikipedia talking about the Iron Age being attributed to Seth, the Egyptian god of evil, who here says Egyptian tradition governed the central deserts of Africa. And then I think of deserts and I think of old atomic wars, you know. And then, of course, the Sanskrit, is it Bhagavad Gita? You know, that quote of 1,000 suns, that people thought was an atomic weapon. That comes to mind. Yeah, so the other thing I thought of were the movie The Lawnmower Man. And if you're not familiar with that, well, you've probably seen it. But there's a point in it basically where this guy finds a way to transfer his consciousness into the internet, and he's basically connected to the internet, and he's using the computers as a corporeal interface, because he's incorporeal. He's like a wireless energy or something, you know. And he's controlling everything from money to energy to weapons, you know, and you've got to stop him. So it wouldn't matter then if you destroyed one piece of hardware, you can just zip into another. The guy, he had complete domination of the whole of the system. So if something like that happened and you had some non-human intelligence, call them what you want, demon, jinn or whatever, if they had access to this and you had a global supercomputer system set up in prehistoric times or even now, perhaps the only way that you could ever rid them of their corporeal global body would be a nuclear war just to fry everything, you know, possibly. I mean, crazy idea, but I don't know, I find it fascinating. I still like talking about prehistoric technology and Eric Van Daniken stuff. I'm not into the ET stuff as much, but I think that it's really possible that, yeah, we had similar technology now that we do. Similar technology that we have now, you know, in ancient times. And now this leads me to connect, this come to mind immediately as well, UFOs and atomic weapons and technologies. Why is it that people have reported UFOs around nuclear facilities and things like that. And also, there's stories of these UFOs apparently deactivating nukes, right? Why? You know, that's another thing. Is this linked to the same thing I'm talking about? You know, are these UFOs, these non-incarnated entities that are observing nuclear technologies and are afraid of it? Either they're afraid that we may destroy the computer hardware and technology where they can manipulate and incarnate into, or you know, and this hasn't happened in history, or they have learned from history and they've seen it done before when they nearly had hold of the reins, you know, when it comes to the controlling the human race, and they don't want to see it happen again. Because another one is the abduction stories that I think really around the 1980s, and of course you had 1980s, you had the threat of the Cold War. You had abduction stories of people being showed images and visions by the aliens, by the ETs of Armageddon, you know, like nuclear wars and devastation, and they were saying this is a real threat to your species, you have to stop it, and we're here to guide you out of it, you know. Another one comes to mind is, talking of that, a book I read by Whitley Strieber, and I can't remember what it was called, but there was this scene where, again, there's a blur between was it CIA he was involved in, Central Intelligence Agency, and what he thinks were ET alien hybrids, but at one point they were taken into the forest by these so-called hybrids, and also military men were there and children as well, and everybody was a bit brainwashed, a bit dumbfounded, but they put headsets on them, and this is the 1950s. They put these kind of blocky headsets on them, and they were shown an image of the Earth, and then looked like what was it, a comet or meteorite coming down, hitting the Earth. I think they were showing how the dinosaurs were destroyed, but then we're saying, you know, there's a threat of something similar, but a threat of another impact happening on the Earth, and I think there was another one with a nuclear holocaust. I'm sure it was, but he had mentioned having images shown to him by these aliens of you know, atomic wars and things like that, of possible futures. So that could connect to it, I think. Are they trying to, you know, potentially divert us away from that future? And the final one that comes to mind is, I'm thinking about the pyramids. Were they some kind of massively advanced supercomputer that was destroyed by nuclear technology, by humans, to stop this possible you know, non-human incorporeal intelligences from completely dominating, taking over the human race and the Earth, and controlling all of the energy, controlling wars, etc. And maybe not just in Egypt, but was there a global system, a global pyramid system? Those pyramids were giant supercomputers maybe, and then they got taken over by AI, which is some non-human demonic intelligence, and they were all taken out simultaneously in a big nuclear war, hence the deserts in Egypt. These things are just plonked in a desert. And why? And then how many, you know, I know we've discovered other pyramids in Europe, I think, and all around the world. So, you know, are they something to do with it as well? And are some of them still working and active? Or some of these supercomputers still up and running? And don't want to be known to humanity because in case we destroy them. Yeah, so that is the end of my video, and yeah, hope you find it interesting. Drop me a comment, and maybe I'll talk to you later. Alright, see ya, bye.